Hi, my name is Gareth Marie. I'm from KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. I am co-founder of Heartfelt Horsemanship, a horsemanship program that focuses on connection, communication, and relaxation. I know all too well that it ends up not meaning much to anyone now because everyone claims their program focuses on connection, relaxation, and communication. Um, it would take a little bit more of seeing what we do to get an understanding of we how we classify connection, communication, and relaxation. Um, when I was asked to do this video, I had to think about what matters to me in terms of horsemanship and what kind of got me on this path. When I was very young, my first ever fall was quite a serious fall, and it kind of set me on a path of trying to avoid it ever happening again. That was at the age of 11. I've been riding since I was about 4, riding on my own from about 8. But I was pretty sure it didn't need to be that dangerous. And I believe that riding doesn't need to be dangerous. And along with this came the realization that horses aren't out to get us, they're not out to harm us. And if we change that perspective and look at what the things are that cause them to do things that might be dangerous for us, we start discovering communication, relaxation, and connection. So one of the big myths that I believe make horse riding activity or horse related activities so dangerous is this myth that horses are by nature spooky and unpredictable. I'll get to why I don't believe that's true at all. In fact, science doesn't support that at all. But the reason this is so dangerous is because it takes away our power to address it. I don't like using the word control because with the animal of that size, control is just an illusion. Doesn't matter what you're using in their mouths or on their noses. Control is an illusion. Communication is our only chance. But when we acknowledge that we can predict a horse's behavior and we can cause relaxation, that they are no longer spooky, we kind of take back the capacity to change something. So rather than thinking about control, we don't have control over a horse, but we have a capacity to change something. So if a horse is scared, having the capacity to change that re-empowers us. Now, this is one of the biggest resistances in the conventional horse world, is people kind of like the fact that if they just blame it on the fact that a horse is an unpredictable, spooky animal, they don't have to do anything and they don't have to change at all. So what it comes down to is that no, horses aren't unpredictable and spooky, humans are unpredictable, and it makes horses spooky. If we were consistent and we had built communication, built connection, and most importantly built relaxation, they're no longer spooky. And in terms of the predictability, if we were mindful of the changes in them, what they're telling us by their natural behaviors, we become safer. So that has kind of been my goal, my principal goal, since I was 11 years old. And now we have science catching up. The guys like Ray Hunt and Tom Dorrance, they were doing things like a hindquarter disengagement and achieving a level of success, but now they didn't have any idea why. I like to think that there was something bigger telling them why, telling them to do it and getting the results, and they just kept doing it. Now that we know why, we also know a little more about how they learn, and we can do it lighter and with less force. And that again increases our ability to connect with these animals. So for me, the reason I don't believe horses are spooky and unpredictable is science. As much as I'm a horseman and I believe in connection and all these things, these esoteric concepts, I didn't actually study horsemanship. I studied natural sciences. I have a passion for wildlife, and at that stage I thought my career was going to be more along those lines, nature conservation. Um, what it has put in me is a very strong understanding of what science can bring to us. Science is as flawed as the people that produce it. But what science does have is got a strict criteria in terms of what it lays out in terms of the resources, the studies, the reports. And if everyone could learn to be able to discern whether the science is valuable and has gone through the processes properly, science would be much more valuable. Of course, nowadays we have 110 new scientific reports a day, and no one has ever really questioned like how the methods are used, etc. I do have that education, and I'm very thankful for that education. And one of the studies is directly related to the unpredictability and spookiness of horses. Horses in natural settings are actually designed to stay calm like this. These two horses, okay, the youngsters got pretty tame with us, but the mom came to us recently, and she actually can't be caught yet. But you can see she's preserving energy. She's hanging close to me. She's fine. She's getting accustomed to me. If horses were the unpredictable, spooky messes that we see in stables around the world in the more conventional settings where no one addresses it, they would not be able to survive as long as they have. They would be skin and bone because they would be running from everything that popped up, and without getting all the concentrates and stuff that we throw at them nowadays, they would not have survived as a species. And the scientific report that I read was very convincing, and it changed my perspective. So I don't believe that horses are spooky and unpredictable. The spookiness comes from the fact that when we bring them into the human world, they are nervous of new environments, and we never ever address it. And a lot of conventional people either say the horse must just suck it up and drive it through it and push the horse past the threshold to the point that they explode. And they say, well, that's just part and parcel of the horse industry. The other approach, of course, is the avoidaholics. People will think my horse is scared of this and this and this and this, and they avoid those things, and the horse never addresses it. In nature, if a horse is scared of something, much like what this mare is doing with me, she progressively investigates it a little closer at a time and either discerns it as a real danger or as something that she can be safe around. They can be safe around. So that's takes out the spookiness aspect. What we need to work on is when they get nervous, we need to address their level of anxiety. So that's the relaxation aspect. When horses have been kept in those situations and they're constantly running on a high level of anxiety, it takes nothing for them to spook. So that is not a horse's intrinsic nature. That is our creation. We have created this natural level of anxiety in the horses, and then when an extra stimulus comes in, they spook and carry on. Now, in terms of the unpredictability, I'm sure everyone has seen this. They show us so many signs. Tom Dorrance had a saying that do less earlier rather than too much too late. And in the 70 years since Tom wrote those words, we have progressed in terms of how little we can do. And I'm pretty sure that Tom, Ray, Buck, all of them would say that if we were still doing the same things that they were doing when they started this process, they would be disappointed. We need to progress. But that concept watching for the slightest changes. We now have science that shows us calming signals. When signals that when a horse is stressed, 70 years ago, it was if the horse's head went up, it was nervous and you needed to address it. Now we know that breathing changes, wrinkles on their faces, how their muzzle sits. There's so much that we can watch for. But people want to get on a horse and just go for a ride. Without paying attention to that, they want to chat to their friends, sit on their cell phone, look at the beautiful view. Now, I love looking at the beautiful view. I love engaging, but the whole time I'm checking back on my horse. If I go for a drive in the car and I'm enjoying the beautiful view, I'm still checking my blind spots. I'm checking what's going on ahead of me, that I can stay safe. We should be doing the same thing when we're with horses. The difference is, by doing that, we are connecting to another living animal, and that has got a far bigger plus side than just safety. Them knowing that we're aware of them causes that connection, and they start to worry about our safety just as much as we're worrying about them. So there's the dead practical straightforward science, and then there's that extra level of connection that comes from the fact that we are mindful of all their concerns. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you want to know more about what we do, Heartfelt Horsemanship has a YouTube channel where we try and post daily educational material. We also run certification courses for people that have an interest in being horse professionals, but not quite the conventional world, which focuses more on communication and connection. And we are bringing out a DVD shortly, which for people that just want to have access to that information, but don't necessarily want to be horse professionals. And we conduct clinics throughout Africa, and have individual lessons. So if you're in South Africa and you want to come for horsemanship lessons, it's pretty much a riding lesson, but we do it from a point of view of horsemanship, connection, communication, and safety is a very high priority. Drop us a message. Find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Heartfelt Horsemanship. We have Instagram account, and just for the fun of it, we have TikTok. But feel free to drop us a message and connect. Thanks, guys.